And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We had a pretty short and intense PvP that we just wrapped up between Hero and Creator. But now we are here with a bit of a different matchup. We have a ZVT between Elazer and Clem. Oh boy, some of the best that Europe has to offer when it comes to Zergs and Terran players. Both players have been looking pretty good so far in this group. I say good, there is no standout dominant player yet. In the previous groups, we had Cure, we had Bjorn, we had Cyril, we had these undefeated players just have these insane runs, and likewise we had other players that were alongside them like Dark and Ragnarok. But so far this group is getting really messy. it's Group B is getting very messy. You can see that the skill level between all these players is very close, and as a result there is no clear-cut leading player. There's no favorite player so far. Everyone's got at least one loss. Some of these players have multiple losses, of course, and yeah, we're really waiting to see one player distinguish themselves amongst the rest. Who's able to take a bit of a lead here and continue that lead and really stand out amongst all these other players. Oh boy. Okay, it looks like, yeah, we do have some technical issues, technical difficulties, unfortunately. As we are going to try to re-establish ourselves here. It's possible that maybe the group is full, actually. Which would not be ideal. Which is a little bit worrisome. May mean that one of us will have to leave. But we'll try and be accommodating. Try our best. Yeah, but not everyone is in the party. So yeah, we're just kind of trying to sort this out and get everything ready. So we'll be starting momentarily. And you know what? It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Elazer and Clem are of course amazing players in their own right, and I can't wait. I can't wait to sink my teeth into a juicy ZVT. Personally, my favorite matchup. As long as mech isn't involved and as long as we're not on Gressman, then we're good. We're good. And even then, I'm able to still enjoy it and appreciate the late game TvZs that we can have. But here we go. The lobby has been made. Everyone is in. No one has been left behind. And we are getting into game number 1 between Elazer and Clem. Oh, let's go, Papi. Let's go. As a reminder, for context, when it comes to the group, Clem has a 2-1 score. Elazer 1-2. He needs this win here to really start working his way back up the group. Likewise, Clem needs this to, start standing up from the rest of the pack. Needs this to start really solidifying his position in the playoffs. Here we go. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the French Terran player representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Zerg player also representing Team Liquid, as this is a team kill. It is Elazer. Here we go. The ZVT is finally upon us, and I'm really curious to see how this does play out as well. I know that Clem is more than willing to play mech. Typically, he does it at least once in a series, but when I say that, I'm talking about best of 5s. When it comes to a smaller best of 3, I'm sure it's very map dependent when Clem does whip out his mech. So I'm sure we'll be seeing that later on in the series, depending on the maps. Outside of that, again, I want to get into that juicy Bio versus Ling Bane. Elazer likewise has a really interesting playstyle when it comes to ZVT. He's also similar to Spirit, which I guess makes sense. They're both, They're both from the same region, from the same country. Elazer does try to cut corners and be as greedy as possible in this matchup. And if he can get away with that greed, he can snowball out of control for the most part. But Clem is also likewise such an aggressive player. It's so difficult to get away with too much greed against him. Sometimes if you do drone up too much, you will just die. It is going to be a balancing act here for Elazer. And Clem does go for the racks on the high ground. Interesting choice. Interesting. We've been seeing a lot of 2 racks openers, especially in Korea. And we have seen it in Europe as well. Hero Marine, Spirit, and Clem have all done it, but they haven't fallen in love with it the same way that Bjorn has or Cure has. I think they're both the 2 players that probably do it the most. Maru and Ryung and Gumiho, they do it every now and then, but nowhere near as what's the word I'm looking for? As religiously, that's it. As religiously as Bjorn and Cure do. So likewise, looks like Clem also just going for a much more standard Rax expand into a factory. Back at home, Elazer also just going for his own droning, pulling out of gas, working on link speed. Oh, but Elazer's third base is going to be... Okay, well, it's going to be delayed for a moment, but he is going to be able to throw it down. All good. And my eyes are on the follow-up as interesting. Clem delays his third TC, and he's going for a much faster starport. So a very aggressive opener here coming out from Clem, going for a 1-1-1. Typically, we would be seeing a third base thrown down and start working towards a more economic opener. What Clem has in store for us. We have Clem looking to be an add-on swap for faster Banshees, I imagine. Otherwise, we could avoid the add-on swap and go for faster Stim instead. And there we go. Production buildings are good. And yeah, we have a bit of an old-school Hellion Banshee. As the Hellions, they do bypass the Queens. They dive straight into that natural base. Oh, we have very little to defend. But link speed kicks in. We will be able to clean this up, but not before 3, 4, 5 workers go down. Ooh. The 2 Hellions are well worth it here for Clem. He gets a scout of the main, make sure no additional gases or lair has been taken. And Elazer is going back to droning. Meanwhile, Clem isn't done again. Because of his opener, he's going to have an abundance of Hellions to work with. Cleans up a good portion of those lings. More Hellions on the way. Banshees as well. Is this going to lead into a Hellbat push eventually? I wonder. We'll see if we end up throwing down an armory. Till then, Hellions is just going to be poking and prodding. We're going straight into Stim. And the Clem still does not have a third. Still does not have a third CC. Okay, as we are add-on swapping out of that reactor. And there's that third on the way. So just a delayed third base from Clem, but still being very aggressive, being very active. His Banshee is now heading into that natural base. The Spore is not done, by the way. Oof. And workers are going down. Elazer not quite expecting this aggression out of Clem as he does come in from behind. But this time, Lings are in position. And it looks like these Hellions are going to be punished for their dive. This time, they do not get drone kills. Elazer cleans Clem up. And just like that, Clem, he relinquishes his map control. Elazer is free to drone, expand, tech up, do whatever he wants. There are still Banshees on the map, and Elazer has to respect that. He has to prepare for that. But outside of these Banshees, again, Elazer, he can drone as much as he wants. That is exactly what he is doing. There's that fourth base on the way. Banshees are going to be threatening the Queens in the natural. They don't quite get too much done. They've gotten 1 drone so far between them. They now get a second and a third. Oh my god. And a 4th worker as well. So not too bad from those Banshees, as Clem is now going to be taking his 3rd. Behind this, we're already working on tank production. We have our 3-1-1 setup. We do have a timing here with these 1-1 upgrades as well on the way. But again, that's the downside of sacrificing your Hellions like that. I say sacrificing. Obviously, Clem wanted to get economic damage done. He wanted to roast the mineral line with his Hellions. but didn't get anything for it. So I do want to give the edge to Elazer at the moment. Not just because of the killing of all those Hellions, but also because Clem's third base is so delayed. So we can see Elazer just skyrocket in the worker count. 1-1 on the way, Baneling Nest, soon Baneling Speed. And the creep is being spread. But now, once the medevacs hit the field, Clem can be active. He's moving out once again with these Marines. But Elazer, he is in position. Has plenty of queens, have plenty of transfused energy. And yeah, Clem has to be very careful. If he overextends, he will lose his medevacs. And as a result, he will lose his Marines. Behind this, Clem is working on his second factory, armory for 2-2. So far, oh, clutch transfuses, keeping everything alive. And the creep is not going to recede. As Clem rotates around, trying to catch some more of these tumors. Does get one active tumor. Behind this, he's just saturating his bases, getting everything back up and running. But at this point, Elazer has been able to drone up to 80. 80 workers. The ideal number for Elazer. And now we can tech up even further. Hydra Den is on the way, so Lingbane Hydra is going to be the composition of choice. Should be seeing the Infestation Mint momentarily as well to head up into Hive Tech. For Adrenal, for Vipers. Until then, Clem is moving out with a second push. Oh, he's going to be trading well against these Lings. So he is forced to pick up. A lot of creep is going to be receding. And we can see Clem just kind of testing the multitasking here of Elazer. Trying to pull him apart. Gets an Overlord, some tumors. Again, Elazer is able to keep up with him for the most part. There we go. We have Hydras now in production. With the arrival of these Hydras, it's going to be much more easier to deal with these drops. Oh, but there is no Spore here at the fourth base. Banelings are going down. Drones as well. Elazer caught lacking a little bit here. And that is going to drag the entire army out of position. That means that Clem now has control of the center of the map. He cleans up the creep. Going to be establishing himself with these mines. 1-1 is done for the Terran. Oof. Decent mine shot. Oh, God! Another big mine shot on the Lings. A lot of Lings get thrown away here. Not the most efficient trade from Elazer. And now Clem, he's getting out of control. Too many Lings were thrown away. Oh! As he is looking. Barbanes! Oh my god. The Bard Bane mines pop off. And honestly, Elazer needed that, but it may just be too late anyway. As Marines, they dive into the main base. They get a queen. They trade well with the Lings. And Clem has just an insane army right now. We can see that Elazer has a large bank. He's got over 1,000 minerals in the bank, but he just doesn't really... He can't really spend his money. He needs to, though. He needs Lings desperately. He just made a wave of workers. Oh, no. He just drones, and the army arrives. The hatchery is going to go down. A massive minefield as well. A bit of friendly fire. The mines are being cleaned up. But at the same time, we have the drop into the main base. We do see Elazer is able to keep up this time, though. As he's retaking his base. Reestablishing himself. Oh, Elazer just needed a moment to breathe. And cleaning up all those Widow Mines does help Elazer so much. There are still drops being active, though. They're still pulling Elazer apart. We have a drop here towards the center. We have the army on the right-hand side and a drop into the natural. It's not getting too much done, just mainly cleaning up this creep. As I say that, drones are going down in the main. Oh, the mines! Oof. Big mine shot on the Hydras. Good retargeting, but the mines get cleaned up once again. And Elazer reclaims control of the center of the map. Overextending a little bit off of creep. Something to bear in mind as well is that we do need to respread as much creep as we can. We need to keep this going. As the Elazer has regained control of his side. Now he's being active. He gets eyes on the new would-be 5th base. Is going to be cancelled. Is going to be lifted. More mines are going down. Elazer, I believe still no infestation pits. A big oversight from Elazer. He's staying on lair tech. No adrenal, no vipers, no lurkers. Just no 3-3 either. I mean, he's staying on a low gas count, to be fair. Can't quite afford that, but here we go. 2-2 now on the way. Additional hatcheries. Elazer just doesn't have a lot of gas to work with. And that may just be a mistake because he has an abundance of minerals. So Elazer is trying to keep up. I'm really concerned though because 3-3 is about to kick in for Clem and 3-3 is nowhere near in sight for Elazer. You see Elazer being very active though. He's throwing down a lot of borrowed banelings. I appreciate it. Speaking of, banelings are rolling on in into that planetary. The 4th base is going to go down. Couple of SCVs as well. It is going to cost quite a lot of supply here for Elazer. The borrowed banelings don't quite go off as Elazer pushes through the center, but these hydras are exposed. He's going to have to back off. Borrowed banelings. Not quite detonating. As the hatchery does go down. And Elazer's on the back foot. Again, no defensive lurkers, barely any banelings. He spent so much of them breaking that planetary earlier. There we go, the baneling reinforcements are coming on in. Oof. So Elazer is forcing this back. Big baneling shots here on the right-hand side, and they finally go off. And Elazer's able to break on through. He gets on top of the planetary goes down, knocking Clem down to 4 bases, barely 4 bases mining. And Elazer is not stopping. Now he pulls back. Maybe looking to bait Clem into the board banelings. Up! Does scan ahead of time. Meanwhile, we see a scan into the main. Still no hive, by the way. Elazer's crazy. Staying on lair tech. I mean, he's been doing decently well, don't get me wrong. But 3-3 is now done. We're getting into ghosts. I really do worry about the longevity of Elazer's army. Finally, we're taking some more gases. Like, that's the thing that's holding Elazer back. Like, he can't afford 3-3 or a hive or an infestation pit just because he has so little gas to work with. But it's okay, he's got a 2k mineral bank. Aye. As Clem is just constantly in his face. Liberator Harass is going to be getting a lot of worker kills. Yeah, and Clem is just applying so much pressure here, trading so well. I do think we have too many hydras as well from Elazer. I did just realize that. We're up to 35 hydras. My god. And Elazer is busting on through. Hydras, they're doing it. Now they are able to force back the army of Clem. Rotating on over. Clem does have a fresh mining base here on the right-hand side. Do we have enough hydras to focus down that planetary? Planetary will go down. But in the head-to-head fight, you can see the hydras melt to the Marines. Oof. This is a very expensive loss for Elazer. Just quickly checking. 24 out of 35 hydras, 24 just got sniped, just went down, and even more falling in the retreat. We were talking about the lack of gas earlier, and now Elazer is going to be looking to replenish all those Hydras, and we're never gonna see a Hive. it's not gonna happen. Not this game. Elazer did get a base. Does have a better economy. Clem is pretty committed here. And down to 53 workers. Good stutter stepping here. Banelings go down. Hydras are doing what they can, but again, as we can see in a head-to-head fight, they just melt. They just die instantly. GG gets called, and Clem will take game number 1 in a very peculiar ZVT. Interesting. GG. I'll be honest, so I don't really get to cast Elazer too much. Like, whenever I cast Elazer, it's at, like, Home Story Cup or events like the Polish LAN tournaments, like these major events. I don't get to cast Elazer on a weekly basis like I do some of these other players. So maybe there's people more familiar with Elazer, but I wonder if that's something he does often. I'm very curious if this style of mass workers staying on, I want to say 4 or 5 gases, so a very low gas count, just very hyper aggressive on lair tech. I wonder if this is something that Elazer does often. I'm sure it was intentional. I'm 100% sure it's intentional at this point. But yeah, it's really interesting to me and really peculiar. Like, Elazer was getting certain advantages. He was doing a great job at harassing and knocking down bases and keeping up with Clem. But we saw that once he would lose his Ling Bane, like, buffer, like, those Hydras, like, there's such a big investment in their paperweights. Like, they're made out of paper. They just fall over and die when they get faced with Marines and Marauders. So yeah, it just didn't feel like it had too much longevity, and maybe again Elazer planned for the game to end earlier and sooner. Regardless, GG, well played. Oh. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this because I don't see any other Zerg players do that. I don't think I've seen, whether it's Solar or Dark or Ragnarok or Raynor or Serral stay on a lair tech army like that. So I'm really interested in it. I'm curious if Elazer does it again. Here we go. As game number 2 is going to be taking place on Royal Blood. So even though Elazer, he was doing a great job at just crippling the economy of Clem and taking down workers, taking down bases, just could not keep up with the main army. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood. We have the French Terran player representing Team Liquid, leading the series 1-0. It is Clem. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Zerg player also representing Team Liquid, as they are teammates. It is Elazer. Here we go. And that was still a pretty close game overall between the two players. Was neck and neck for a while there. But of course, Clem did eventually outscale Elazer over the course of that game. And now we're getting into game number 2. So far, Hatch Gas full, standard opener from Elazer, as to be expected. But clearly, Elazer is willing to mix things up and willing to go for different styles of play overall against even Bioterran. So Elazer, you have my attention. Do have my attention. Here we go. Gress 1 is fine. Usually longer games with a lot of fights. Maybe it's because we cost so much, but ZVT is usually... I mean, it depends on the players, to be fair, but usually they do slow down. Whether they're really dynamic does depend on the players themselves. Like players like Bjorn, even Cure. Like, they're usually... If the game does slow down on Gressvan, it's usually because the aggression initially calms down, right? Like, the Zerg player is able to survive and defend, and then the Terrans back off. They're like, okay, like, this isn't working. We're calming down. We're cutting the map in half. It's so good. But then you have players like Spirit that embrace the late game a little bit better, a little bit harder. Oh boy. There we go. Do you have that first Reaper moving out across the map? Gonna be dancing with the Lings, at least initially. Up, up. Oh my god, the surround! Clem with a bit of an overstep there. Does get caught out by the morphing in Lings, and just like that, Elazer has a map control. You can see Clem. Oh, yeah, you can't see Clem, but he did just shake his head on cams. And behind this, he's going for a much more economic opener, is going for that third CC, but Elazer has map control, is moving out across the map with his Lings, and he is looking to take control of the natural base. You can see Clem transferring his workers back into the main, evacuating his natural, recognizing how dangerous that this area is right now. So not the best start here. So Clem, he loses map control. He also loses any scouting information. If Elazer threw down a Roach Horn and went for an all-in, then Clem would have no idea. As he's going for a 3cc, which should be 3cc Banshee out of Clem. As he's now looking to saturate that natural. Does bring his workers back down. Ling speed kicks in. And Elazer is looking to focus on as many of these SCVs as he can. Oof. 2 SCVs. We're going to get 3. We may even get 4. Oh. Okay, 3 workers and some Marines. Very well done by Elazer. As he's just saturating his bases and getting himself up and running. Upon seeing the Hellions, obviously, he also saw the starport with his Lings as well. So he's aware of the 3cc opener. And he's aware he needs to get ready for Banshees. As Cloak is still on the way. So Elazer having a much stronger early game compared to game 1. Much stronger. There's that layer in production. In the main. At a regular time. This time it looks like Elazer is going to be going for a Balian Nest first. He's going to be delaying his upgrades. If you remember, last game in game 1, he did go for his Evo Chambers first before his lair. And I mentioned this earlier at the start of the series, for good reason. I mentioned that Clem usually goes mech at least once in a series, and I did, caveat that, saying that usually once in a best of 5, but he's doing it here in a best of 3 as well. We do have 2 more factories, it is going to be mech. I don't know, what it is about Clem, or I don't know, why, what kind of triggered this, this playstyle, but Clem has been embracing mech a lot this year. Okay, he's been playing a lot of different variations of it as well. It's been really interesting. I don't know if he likes it, or if he's... yeah, if he just enjoys mixing it up. And this variation is going to be Battle Mech, but with Banshees to support. Again, a very popular way of playing mech over the past couple of months. In a way, since I am Katowice. There it is. We do have Hyperflight Rotors, Magfield Accelerators. Banshee speed on the way. And for those wondering, once Elazer recognizes what's going on, or he's being dragged out of position, Hellions are diving into the natural. There are not enough Lings. They're coming in from behind. Can Elazer stop the dive? And it looks like he's barely slowing it down. The Lings get annihilated. They get roasted. And now so will the drones. Oh no! Oh, and this is game-ending damage. 18 drones go down. 19. We're not done. We're going to get one more volley. Oh no. 20 workers. Over more than a mineral line full here for Elazer. Clem takes an economic lead. And we got, those are only Hellions. We have plenty more where that came from. Banshees are soon to hit the field. Quite a lot of Banshees. Elazer's got a lot of droning to do. The problem is that, again, ideally, you want to be ahead in workers, especially against mech. You want to be ahead in workers, ahead in bases, ahead in economy. Playing from behind is going to be a very tough ask here for Elazer. just because of how efficient the mech army is. There it is. We have a Hydrogen Infestation Pit. So the correct answer, or a good reaction, a good response to this form of mech from Clem is Lingbane Hydra. As you do need anti-air to deal with all these Banshees. The Banshees, they hit the field. Queens are out of position, and this base is going to be cancelled. Oh, we want more than the base. We want the Queens as well. Oh, 2 Queens go down. At the same time, Elazer does go for a big run by, but we have Blue Flame Hellions to defend. Do force a cancel on the 4th. Sorry, on the 5th. Elazer just went for a link counterattack, which means he has that much less to defend back at home. 8 more workers go down. And this is snowballing out of control. The Banshees come back in. Another cancel on the 5th. We do have Banelings on the way. We do have Hydras in production. But Clem is just getting so much damage done before that really happens. Oh, there is no detection. The Banshees, they can even shut down some of these Hydras. Yeah, Hydras are getting picked off. Queens are getting pulled apart by the Cyclones. 11 workers go down. And it was already an uphill battle. It was already uphill for Elazer, and now it's not. It's not a hill anymore. It's a mountain. It's over. It's gonna be difficult here for Elazer to recover. Not impossible. There's a world where if he's able to somehow surround this army, if he's able to like bait the army into say the 3rd, and if Elazer has an army on the right hand side, then maybe he can collapse on these forces and take an efficient trade. A lot has to go right for Elazer, and a lot has to go wrong for Clem. But it's Clem we're talking about. Like, the likelihood of him making that mistake isn't too high. That is the problem here, as we see Elazer trying to fight off of creep as well. That's how desperate the situation is. Lings are going down. Banelings as well. Clem on the cusp of maxing out. Behind this, he's expanding, taking a 4th base. And Clem has taken control of this area. GG gets called. Clem will take the series 2-0. Game 1 with Bio. Game 2 with Mech. GG. Oof. Again, starting things off with a bang. The initial Hellion run by just snowballed out of control, getting 20 workers. And that was already game-ending damage, and it just did not stop. It did not stop at all. Clem just using that to launch himself forward, snowballing out of control, and yeah, GG. GG, well played. Oh, Elazer having a decent start in the early game after killing that Reaper, but yeah, just wasn't ready for the Hellion dive. And with that, Clem is able to take a lead in the group. A strong lead in this group, but we're not done. We're going to be going on a short break. Up next, let's go! Hero versus Rainer. See you soon.